All right, all right, all right. What is happening, everybody, man? Welcome to the show. And I am really excited for today's episode. Traditionally, we're diving in with real estate agents and learning how, really to become the CEO of not just their business, but their life, cut through the noise, the busy work, the overcomplications, and really get down to what actually works. But today we are really stepping outside of the real estate industry, the real estate space, and getting into one of the coolest concepts that I've heard in a really, really long time. And just super excited. I know we were wanting to get this episode recorded, earlier in the year. However, we had a little present and surprise on the way that we had to wait for, which is exciting. So welcome, guys. I'm so glad to have you guys on and really being able to dive into your business model. It is one of the coolest concepts that I've ever heard.
Thanks so much, John. We're excited to be here.
So good. So I'm gonna, really just do a quick little open intro, and then I'm just gonna hand it over to you guys. Your origin story is just so fascinating, and there's just so much to even be pulled from the story itself, not even getting into what the heck you guys have been up to the last 5 years. But the question when you start to even think about it, right? It's like, what does a day spa, craft beer, mind you, and a 14-month trip around the world have in common? And that's what allowed you guys to really figure it out and build a business around it. So one of the things I do want to tease, a new little, I guess, segment that we've added to the episodes, is putting some of our guests on the hot seat. And the hot seat is just the real challenge that you're facing right now. And I really want to do that to be able to kick it out to the audience, to give them a chance to weigh in. And one of the things that we're throwing out there is our kitchen table mastermind that we host 2 to 3 times a year, typically at the beginning of the year and the middle point of the year, to kind of do a little check-in where you're at strategically. Are you where you said you want to be? Are you on pace, off pace? And what do you got to do to, keep accelerating forward? So we'll tease that towards the end, but I'm gonna hand it over to you guys. You spent 14 months traveling through 25 countries, really looking for a business concept. So what was the conviction, right, to walk away from the careers and do that? And what were we searching for?
Yeah. So Damien and I were working corporate jobs in New York City at the time. Damien comes from a sales and marketing background. I worked in HR, and we were living the life in New York City. Don't get me wrong. We absolutely loved it, enjoying all the restaurants, cocktail bars, museums. We had great salaries. And we both had moved to New York, relocated there. Damien's from France originally. I was born and raised in Florida and was working a corporate job there at the time. But we both relocated to New York for jobs. We met within a few weeks of us both independently moving there. And we started dating, right? And very quickly, I proposed to Damien, which is kind of a fun fact.
That is a fun fact.
So we ended up getting married 9 months after meeting. But during that time, we were inseparable, and we would get home from our corporate jobs and we would talk about the future and what we wanted to do together. And we knew pretty quickly that we wanted to open a business, that our backgrounds are very complementary. Damien covering the sales and marketing side, me covering the HR and operations side. And although we loved living in New York City, we were ultimately unfulfilled professionally. We felt like we could do something more. We could do something really interesting together. So we would brainstorm different business ideas. We love hospitality. We love bringing people together. We love wellness, but we didn't want to do a restaurant or a coffee shop or something that's been done a million times before. We wanted to find something unique. And so Damien, being from Europe, and I was fortunate enough to be able to travel internationally at a young age, we knew that there was a lot of interesting ideas that exist out in the world that just maybe haven't been brought to the United States and adapted to the American market yet. So the month after getting married, we decided if we're going to take some risks, now is the time to do it before we have kids and a mortgage and these other responsibilities. So we quit our jobs at the same time. We sold everything we owned. We packed 2 backpacks and we headed off on what was to be an indefinite round the world trip. And the plan was that we weren't going to come home until we found the perfect business idea that we could bring back and scale in the United States.
Man, that's wild. Yeah, so Damien, I mean, what making that adventure, I mean, was it something clearly we were looking for, or was it just being open-minded to just a concept that we we hadn't even thought of or seen, especially in the States, that we could,
Yeah.
really run with?
Yeah, I think a mix of both. We never wanted to reinvent the wheel, but it is important to, as an entrepreneur, to stay curious and constantly, being open-minded of what really the future looks like. We don't have any crystal ball. So, what to do? Staying open-minded, focusing on a broad idea of something in hospitality, and going for it. And I think, you can have all of the ideas in the world. If you don't try, and if you don't go for it, it's not gonna go anywhere. So we set on that world tour with the idea of trying as much as possible experiences in hospitality industry. And with that in mind, we were about to really take the best of everything, and weighing the pros and cons of what could work and what couldn't work. We had some, not rules, but we had some very important
Criteria.
criteria,
Mhm.
such as longevity of an idea, a business model, scalability of that business model, uh, or an idea, as well. Time, we often talk about time. Is it the right time to launch this, right? Or is it too early, or is it is way too late? Timing is an essential component to know. So all of those criteria helped us to try as many experiences and wellness experiences, and we're able to quickly identify what could work and what couldn't work. But staying open-minded was definitely something very important. Often we're big dreamers. You have ideas every day, and often there's always a little voice inside, or your partner, or your business partner, or whoever is around you. It's like, no, it's already done. Don't do it. Go back to your life, to your simple life or your comfort zone. Don't do it. And that's where it creates some sort of, I mean, for me, some sort of strings. Like, no, 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 this is the way, but how do you create that model? And when you get to that model and you're about to discover that, I think I've got a model and I think this will work, this is almost like, seeing the light for the first time. It's like,
Yeah.
wow, I think I'm sitting on something. And now, how do I make sure that I don't screw this up? And how do I make sure that this model evolves to the right direction?
Do who's more risk adverse? Who has more discernment? Are you guys pretty equal, or do you balance each other out?
Balance
I
each
think
other.
we balance each other. And it really depends on what we're talking about. So when we first found our first beer spa, it was me that was sitting in the tub of hops and malt that I was like, I think this is it. Like, this is the concept beer and wellness. Like, Americans are going to love this. Damien, being from France, where the concepts are a little bit more in the box, not out of the box, he was like, I don't know, beer spa, it's a little strange. Like, let's look into this more. Whereas I was, right as we were sitting
Yeah.
in the tub, I was like, yes, 100%, this is the idea. But then for other things, I mean, Damien comes up with some really interesting things, like marketing wise. He wants to do demand based pricing, like when you're with the airlines, right? And no matter depending on the time of day or whatever, the pricing is always changing for the tickets, depending on the number of people that are looking to make the booking, etc. Damien wants to implement that, but for the spa, so the price is always going to fluctuate. And I'm like, I don't know. That sounds a little risky. That's never been done in the spa world before. Like, our guests are going to be confused if there's not a fixed price for the services. So I think we balance each other well. There's some things that Damien is more willing to take risks on than other things that I am.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I think
you're
sorry, I think you need to be about you when you create a business or when you're entrepreneurs. First of all, as an entrepreneur, you don't know anything. When you create a brand new, you have knowledge from previous experiences, jobs, careers. But as an entrepreneur, when you start to create something that no one else has done or a variant of it, right? No one knows. And the second point is, how do you measure the risks and how do you launch something, create something, design something by managing and decrease the risks? There will always be risks. So the idea is, how do you manage and decrease the number of risks as much as possible to increase your level of success?
for you, Damien. So, just I see kind of your intuition kicked in, right? Like you can feel it. Sometimes, we just have that feeling like, I don't know what this is, but this is amazing. This would work. But Damien, for you, kind of running through that analytical kind of checklist
Yeah.
that you have in your mind,
Yeah.
what was it that you're like, okay, this is the one?
Yeah. Um, it's to me, I think every single concept, so perhaps a brick and mortar concept like we have, could be a fit or not according to where you are in the market and the time. And to us, we were focusing when Jess was like, yeah, we should do it. This is gonna be a killing. This gonna work. I promise you. I very quickly told her, absolutely, I think it will work, but not everywhere. And there is that cultural adaptation. So how do we readapt our concept into a different market culturally? How do we make this fit? We know that Europeans are extremely different than Americans. Uh, Price point, cleanliness, privacy, quality of service, keeping price, marketing. We know that there's specific markets within the US that are actually have special markets. New York City is a very different market than Denver. Denver is a very different market than Fort Collins or Colorado Springs within the state. So we look at demographics, financial, of course, marketing, more on the density of population. How many people can you get in? Can you tap on the unlimited source of customers, right? So city like New York
Yeah.
City or Paris, of course, there's planes landing every day feeding your business, but a city like Colorado Springs or Fort Collins, not as much as Denver. So how do you add that into your excitement to make sure that as an entrepreneur, you do not lose this excitement, but still stay grounded to the reality of where your model can fit and works?
Was some of the well, because we've been at this, I mean, we're what, 5 years, 6 years in is kind of where we're
Yeah.
at. When it's always obviously, easier to connect the dots looking back, but you look back at, our careers in New York, what are some of the things that those skills that you developed in New York that prepared you for Oakwell that you didn't fully appreciate until, years later? Were there some foundational skills that were developed, what you guys were doing prior to that you're like, oh, wow, thank goodness we developed those skills that are serving us well now?
Yeah, everything. I mean,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. I mean, for me, so I worked for an IT staffing agency, right? And so I worked my way up from recruiter. I worked into sales, then I was an office manager. And really, this was my first job out of college. And so I was put in front of, director and VP level people at Fortune 500 companies, having to pitch them on our services, and tell them, why we're better than the competition, and talk to them about their staffing needs and human capital and all sorts of, technical jobs, different software development languages. And of course, for a 20-something-year-old, it's like a little nerve-wracking being in the same room, like talking to these people that are A, much older than you, and B, like much more experienced professionally than you. So really just for me, it was getting an understanding of how large enterprise organizations work, how they're staffed, what is the organizational structure, what are some of the, there's so many acronyms in business, and just learning like what certain things mean and how to talk to certain people from a sales perspective, like what resonates to people depending on if they're a really analytical, tech focused guy or if they're more a marketing person. So really for me, it was just learning how just business as a whole works, because my background, I studied neuroscience in school, so I don't come from a business background like Damien does. So really just getting a crash course in how, corporate America works, how businesses are structured, how to speak to different people was then really helpful in enabling us. Yeah, we have a small business, but we structure it in a way that maybe a larger organization does. We put a lot of things in place that most small businesses don't have. We're very well structured. We have SOPs. We have training guides and manuals. It's just very well structured, and I think a lot of that I took from my corporate experience. And Damien can speak to his. But
very cool. Yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to work in the Americas, from the Caribbean, Mexico, and the US, since as well graduating back then, 1 year ago, right? And we it was I graduated in corporate finance, but in reality, I was in sales and marketing, helping hotels, travel companies, selling online. So, I was on the whole spectrum, from being a subject matter expert as a junior, which was incredible. So I was almost my own entrepreneur in a big organization, because the big CEO was just trusting me, doing what I thought was great, which was great. And then I had all of the budget in the world at that time, and then I moved to New York City, and I was a complete opposite. Same stage. I do not know how to do this. Please do it for me. And there's no budget. So I was about to work with millions of dollars, and I worked with $0, minus $100. And I was able to really work, learn very quickly how to be the superstar, or how to be extremely smart and be street smart, and which is what you need in New York City, or when you're creating something and you have a handful of dreams. And I think understanding that New York City is a whole different market within the country. New York City is not the US, actually. It's a bubble. It's just an exception out of the US. So when we met together, I think we were anxious, ready to take on the world, with everything we've learned in the past. Well, of course, always staying open-minded on what we do not know that we need to learn at the very beginning, because we had nothing, and we had to learn it ourselves. And today, how do you surround yourselves with the right people instead of constantly trying to do it everything yourself, which, at the beginning, when you're an entrepreneur, say, I can do this, I can do this. No one can do this better than me. But over the years, when you start to grow, and you know that there's a few strategic area that you need to focus on, that you need to stay to focus on, while making sure that you can delegate, or hire the right people that can take care of the things that you might know how to do it, but it might take you 2 or 3 years to accomplish what some people can do in a 1 year timeline, because they have the connections, the knowledge, the how to be, and and mostly the skills.
So good. I mean, it just feels like you guys were checking all of the boxes in your corporate career that really gave you the full spectrum of what it would take to run your own small business, everything that you guys have. And then you bring that corporate discipline to it, which just allows you to accelerate so much faster than those that don't. It's so cool. So let shift gears to this real quick here, because I mean, when you guys were just telling me about this and you rooted everything on unreasonable hospitality, we talk about, we were talking just the importance of the future and kind of the Ritz-Carlton standard, the way, just the little nuanced things, right? Like, just you reminded me of even the hand, right? Like, you don't point, you just the hand, little nuanced things like that we just grounded the whole building in. So describe that experience, right? For most people that haven't had an opportunity to experience Oakwell, I can't wait to get out to Denver to experience this myself. But describe the experience. What really happens the moment somebody interacts with the brand, and then when they walk through the door. Just walk us through that experience that you guys have designed for your customers.
Yeah. And so I think it's probably helpful to explain what Oakwell Beer Spa is, right? Because it is such a different concept. So we're a social day spa that combines private spa suites with a tap room, a craft beer and wine tap room, right? So to walk you through the experience, you walk through the front door, you're greeted by one of our beer therapists. They know your name ahead of time. So as soon as we open the door for you, hi, John, we're so excited for you to be here. Often you're celebrating your birthday or your anniversary. So we say, congratulations. I hear it's your 5-year anniversary. What's the secret to staying together for so long? Just really trying to build that personal connection with each of our guests that walk in. We of course have some waiver and some not so fun things that takes a few minutes at the front desk, and
Sure.
so we'll kind of skip through that. But then we bring you to our tap room. So this is a spacious tap room. It looks more like a boutique hotel lobby, lots of plants, lots of velvet. And then we have a self-serve tap wall. We have 10 different taps that you can choose from. We use a self-serve system. So we give you an RFID card, teach you how to pour your own beverage. You can sample a bunch of different drinks. We have craft beer, wine, cider, all local from, local producers. One of my favorite beverages is our house beer, which is a cucumber lemon gosa. It's called Spa Sidekick. It tastes like fresh cucumber juice, even though it is beer. Super delicious. So we walk you through a curated tasting, depending on what your favorite flavors are. So we ask, do you like hoppy? Do you like sour? And kind of guide you through a tasting. And then we invite you to sit down in the tap room. We have a custom scent that is diffused throughout the space. We're really into multi-sensory marketing. So we have this scent that's kind of woodsy, a little herbal, that just helps you really relax from the moment you walk in. We have some great music playing, never top charts. We have anything from bossa nova to French pop to Thai pop, depending on the time of day. And then there's conversation cards in the tap room. So 90% of our guests come as couples. We invite everyone to kind of set their cell phones aside and really have a time to meaningfully connect with their partner. So these conversation starter cards are just fun questions that you can ask each other. So you hang out in the tap room for about 30 minutes. During that time, one of our beer therapists will come and introduce the 3 beer bath blends that you have to choose from. So we have little glass jars that have the herbs inside that will have you smell, explain what's included in them. So one of them right now is an energizing IPA. We have a muscle relaxing lager, and we have a calming amber. So we have you smell those, we explain the herbs and ingredients that are inside, and have you choose which one that you would like infused into your beer bath in your private spa suite. So after you make your selection, we leave you back to finish hanging out in the tap room for a few more minutes while we finish preparing your private spa suite. Then we'll come and get you from the tap room, take you on a tour of the space so you're familiar with and comfortable navigating the surroundings, and then bring you into your private spa suite. So this is a completely private room for you and whoever you came with. Inside the room is an infrared sauna, a rain shower, and a hydrotherapy tub that's infused with that infusion blend that you chose a few minutes earlier. So you have 90 minutes in this room. It's yours to hop back and forth between the tub, the infrared sauna, and the shower. We have a beer therapy mini bar, so it works very similar to a hotel mini bar, except instead of alcohol, there is beer infused cosmetic products from our sister company, Oakwell Cosmetics. So we have beer hair mask, a beer face mask that you can self-apply and use while you're in the room. And then, of course, if you need to refill your drinks, you don't need to leave the comfort of your private spa suite. We have a room service button. So you just ring the doorbell. One of our beer therapists will come, grab your tumblers, refill your drinks, and bring it back to you. So you relax, you kick back and enjoy and soak and sweat in your private room for 90 minutes. And then when you're done, you head to our cool down room. So it's a little bit quieter. There's more air conditioning. Just get your body temperature back to normal. It's like a good transition space between the private spa suite and back to the real world. And after that, you can either go back to the tap room and continue hanging out and having beverages and maybe a charcuterie board for as long as you would like, or you can enjoy a zero gravity massage experience. So these are high-tech robotics enabled massage chairs that will give you a head to toe massage for 15, 30, or 60 minutes. These massage chairs really open up the audience a lot broader, that maybe people don't enjoy getting massages, right? We've talked to a lot of our clients that aren't comfortable being naked and touched by a stranger. So these massage chairs just really allow much more of our guests to enjoy a massage that maybe wouldn't do so otherwise. And then the tap room is really the communal space. So we have a lot of our members in specific that come hang out in the tap room and use the massage chairs without even booking a private spa suite. So the tap room is just that communal space to just have a drink and enjoy socializing with others. And to your point, hospitality is a huge part of what we do. Each team member goes through a 3-week training program before they're kind of let to fly on their own. We have what's called our 5-star service standards. It was really based off a lot of research that we did going to places like Four Seasons and Ritz-Carlton. To your point of, when someone asks for directions, we do not say, if a guest asks where the restroom is, we don't just point down the hallway. We escort the guests there. Anytime we're pointing at something, we don't use a finger, we use an open palm. There's certain language, like we stole, I don't like saying steal, but we borrowed my pleasure.
We modeled.
We reverse engineered.
We reverse
engineered. I like that too. Yes.
Exactly. So we'll never say no worries. Like if a guest asks something or says thank you, our team can't say no worry. There was not a worry to begin with. We say my pleasure or you're welcome. So there's just certain language, like our guests are guests. They're not customers. Customer sounds very transactional. Guests we are hosting you for an experience. So we have quite a lengthy 5-star service standards playbook that we teach all of our staff. Because that's what keeps people coming back, right? You can have a great product. You've been to, I'm sure, many restaurants where the food is great, but the service is terrible. And are you going to go back? No, because that's why you went out, because you went out and spent money at an establishment because you want to feel taken care of. And we feel like that's really missing in a lot of hospitality experiences today is, they market, these places market themselves as this great experience. The design is beautiful. The food or whatever product it is great, but then the service is lacking. But that's really what people are looking for today. And I think what makes us stand apart from competitors is the level of service that we provide.
Yeah. That was the first thing that resonated with me when we, first conversation. But Damien, beer and spa, really like 2 words that you would never see coming together. And what do most of the people, have to say? I'm sure you're trying to gather as much as you can, especially from the marketing side of things, right? You want those little sound bites. What do most people say after their first visit to Oakwell?
So this is not what I was expecting. Which is interesting because we try to be as clear as possible on the website. But still, I think it's just so unique and still new for the first spa goers, the people who are not getting to go to the spa, right? The service is outstanding. Never felt so relaxed in my life. Felt like a staycation. Didn't feel like in the middle of Denver. So and I think most importantly, that's something that we like the most with Jess is the reconnection with your significant other. It's the best date night we ever had in 10 years of marriage. Um,
Awesome.
this is incredible. We need this in our lives, and I love to come every month, which is why some people buy membership. And I think this is the best thing we can hear is how we help to reconnect two people. It can be uh, parents or significant others without kids yet, or even two friends or two sisters. Right. The other day we had this guy coming with her sister-in-law. Can you believe this? It's like, really? Is that a thing? Like, okay. And it's just, he loved the experience so much that he thought that was the best thing to do is to surprise a sister-in-law together in the tub. Well, I guess the sister, the wife or the husband, I'm not sure, were just working. I don't know. It was very interesting and intriguing, and ask, oh, uh this is thank you for coming and celebrating. Yeah, he's working right now, so we're just gonna hang out together. And the first thing that came to my mind was to cut to Oakwell, and he's a member, and it just shows you that sure, we've created an intimate private spacesuit, but in the meantime you can fit so many different um contexts,
Yeah.
right?
I think one of the best things that we hear is I'm not usually a spa guy, but
Yeah.
now that I've experienced Oakwell, like I'm definitely a spa guy now. I'd say almost 50% of our guests have never been to a spa before. So we're really able
Wow.
to tap into an audience that is not serviced by this industry typically. They don't have massage MV memberships. They're not going to the Ritz-Carlton to get a massage because we're plugging in the beer component. And so a lot of people, specifically our male clientele, that typically, would not go to a spa. Now that you plug beer into it, they're like, okay, I'll try it. And then they end up asking to be a member at the end because they had such a good time.
Yeah. One of the things that I love that you mentioned, the Oakwell Cosmetics, how does that allow you guys to extend that beyond the four walls of the Oakwell Spa? Is that allowed to get the brand into the home?
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing the spa back to your home and having the experience, recreating some sorts
So
of
awesome.
the experience at your own time on your own schedule. And this is possible by one of our bestseller product called the Herbal Beer Bath. So this is a mini version of Herbal Beer Bath infusion that we're adding into your giant hydrotherapy tub, and we're able to create this in a very small version for your own small tub at home.
Yeah. It's so good, right? Like, I default a lot, this is what I love about talking to small businesses outside of real estate, just to kind of see how they think about, the business, the service, the experience they want to deliver. But, you default back to really only three ways to grow a business, right? Increase customers, get them to buy more frequent, and get them to spend more money. And you start to hear all of the little nuance things, right? Like, hey, we have this that we can upgrade to so we can increase the average spend with us, right? We have the membership so we can keep them coming back to where they're spending more frequently. And obviously, above and beyond service, just word of mouth alone on top of your sales and marketing experience just, keeps the customers, running through the door. So you guys have really thought about, a lot of probably everything you thought through, and being able to spend that much time traveling and really what we're looking for. But we really landed in, I think, the unreasonable hospitality is like the non-negotiable, right? Like every little
Yeah.
thing that you do, the standard. Kind of break that down for those listening in, because I believe it's the future, right? If you want a chance into the future, you have to focus on the experience, the unreasonable hospitality, the hug your customer, knowing your customer. Like you said, when you walk in, you greet them by first name, you know why they're there. Walk, share a little bit about, how those decisions, 10 times out of 10, it's always the right decision when it comes down to the hospitality side of things. Just expand upon that a little bit of why that is absolutely critical as a foundation moving, now and moving into the future.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so first of all, this is very important that we don't think short term. And that's a part of the philosophy we have for the, impossible, nothing is impossible hospitality, the nothing is impossible mindset in hospitality. And to us, the longevity of our business is more important than the quick money, the quick transaction you can get at the end after 3 hours. The reason being is you've just said word of mouth earlier. The word of mouth is your best marketing tool. It doesn't matter how beautiful your website is, how beautiful your ads are, how beautiful inside the spaces. What really matters is the first 3 seconds you're having with the guests as soon as you greet them, and then the other is the interaction with the guests and the staff, and the with the least friction possible. Okay, and that's what makes uh, a magical experience in hospitality versus a normal experience, which people get to used to that, and they're getting to used to, and they don't say anything. They're willing to pay for mediocre or okay steak or okay cocktail, and they don't ask a question why is that cocktail is worth $20 or $25. There's maybe nothing special about it. Maybe because you're on the rooftop with a view of the mountains. I don't know. So for us, that philosophy was like, no, first of all, you don't know what the heck is a beer spa. So I have only 3 seconds to wow you as soon as you enter. We already did the hardest part is to generate a reservation, right? Blocking off your personal time. You've got kids, you're busy, and I'm asking your money to relax. Well, there's so many different ways for you to relax. My unique selling proposition is to offer you something unique that you always remember. Now, with that, not taking for granted, I have more work to do and the pressure is on, is to open the door for you, greet you with a right smile, and serve you like no one else has served you. And this has helped us to keep the business healthy, to generate that word of mouth constantly. But as well, I think very importantly, we always talk about the guests, but who is serving those people or team, and actually seeing the team saying, "Oh yeah, I get it. He's gonna come back tomorrow, and again the next month, and the second month, and the third month with his sister-in-law, and he's gonna spend actually much more than just the whatever package he has booked today." And so, and in addition to that, I got to meet that person and I got to interact with that person, which is, less robotic than just doing exactly the same thing day after day at serving the same exact dishes, at the table of someone. So, with that, you're able to impact the guests, the team, and you're actually making the team very proud of on being able to be in an environment where we really take hospitality seriously, and that hospitality is not necessarily synonym of transaction. Yes, when you execute hospitality very well, you can be successful financially, but most of the time you don't execute well. There's always frictions, and that's where you can lose big money, mostly in a market like the US where customer is king. You always get refund very easily, you always get exchange, and this can really take your business can take a toll on that. So from the get-go, Jess and I said, if we have to create this, if we have to run this, we want to make sure that my grandmother, if I have to take my grandmother inside this tub, it's clean. You don't want to create an environment when it's not clean and safe. When you bring someone in, you want to be really proud of opening your house. Opening your house is a big deal in certain culture, and it shows love, appreciation. Or even when we greet people to a certain side of the spa or the other, or even opening you the door. It's like I often explain to the new employees, when you have that person coming, driving 50 minutes, beating the traffic to pick you up at the airport, that's the feeling you want to have. When you fly, it's a hassle, and you land, and you've got someone picking you up, and it's not a Uber or Lyft. That makes the whole difference.
It does.
And teaching that to the team, that the guests can feel, such as welcome home, you're a member. We'll make you feel right at home by offering you some sleepers to get started, instead of, here's your sleepers. Oh, what's your size? Of course, it happens every day. Don't get me wrong. Every time I walk into the spa, there's so many things I'm like, boiling and shaking. But overall, we do a great job. And that's a mindset you need to have in hospitality. And I don't believe you should be in hospitality if you're not even happy to invite some people at home nowadays. If you're not able to serve people, making sure their glass are constantly filled, instead of having only one bottle of wine or 6 packs, maybe get 10 packs, a pack of 10 or 12, because some people want to have a bit more wine to have more fun. That's the way we work, and that's important to us.
I love that. It really is. I love that frame. I've never heard anybody, frame it that way, but that is just one experience. Like I felt that when you were talking about, having somebody there to pick you up. Me, I travel all the time, and mostly, it's me, right? I catch the Uber, or I got the car parked, I can go, but it's different when somebody's just sitting there waiting on you. That feeling, that is such a great frame. So let's kind of
next time bring him a coffee from the Starbucks just before walking out of the airport.
That's even taking it even better. So I want to rapid fire with you guys here for just the last few minutes. Main audience, real estate agents, trying to grow and scale their business. These are agents that are committed, borderline obsessed with making, their business the best business they can throughout real estate. And as you were talking, I was, really trying to distill, okay, I can improve there. But what would you say is the one hospitality principle from Oakwell that these real estate professionals can apply to their client experience today?
Oh, yeah.
So I think the first is, just make it personal. We have interacted with a fair amount of real estate brokers, right, on the commercial side, as we were looking for places for our original location, as well as for our second location. And, what really set the person apart that we ended up working with, and ended up working with the same broker for both locations, was that they really genuinely acted like they cared about us. It wasn't just a number. They didn't just go through their list of questions. Okay, square footage, utility, blah, blah. Okay, here's the list. She really got to know us on a personal side. Our family members, when our birthday is, she invited us to a housewarming party when she had moved. Like, just get to build a personal connection, and that's going to mean so much more than just this feeling of transaction. Because let's be honest, like, we know that they're making a decent amount of money off of these deals. Like, we know that it's, it could be 10, 20, 30K that they're going to be making off of us when they're signing. And we don't want it to feel like they're just in it for the number. We want to feel like, hey, they really care about us personally, which is what we do for our guests and our members as well. It's like, we're not just there to make a quick buck off of them. And yes, they're going to be spending a decent amount of money with us, but we don't take that for granted. And we know that there's a lot of other places where they can be spending their money. And so how we set ourselves apart is by building that personal connection. We take notes of, because we have a lot of members, we have a lot of guests, but we take notes of what their favorite beer is, what bath infusion that they prefer, when their anniversary is, what their partner's and kids' name is. So every time we talk to them, even if we don't really remember who they are, we can look up the notes, and we can certainly, make an effort to act like we do. So I think that's something that any business professional, and certainly, in real estate, that you can do to build that connection, and that will last so much longer beyond that transaction. Then that next time that they're maybe looking to buy or sell a home or looking for a commercial space, they'll think of you because it felt personal. It didn't just feel like a transaction.
And if you add anticipating their needs from the, from the very early stage of the relationship, I think that can be a winning equation. That feeling of working with an agent that doesn't reach out to you, is not proactive, or even, you are hungry to find your dream space or your dream house, and you're constantly looking at those new listing getting out, at the minute, like, and you're forwarding this to your agent, you're starting to question, why is my agent is not doing this for me instead? Why is my agent is not pitching me by text every 5 minutes, like, hey, there's this new house, there's a new space. Hey, I think I can be a great fit. Let's just take a look just in case, that proactivity, as entrepreneurs, often you are the most proactive person in your company. You're the one with the most anger and strength and fire. But what if you as an entrepreneur do that for your guests or customers or clients or whoever you're serving? And I think with this, anticipating your needs is extremely important, and showing it, because saying it is something, but doing it is 99% of the time not something that most of people do.
Right. That's so good. So I got three more questions for you. No, this one, franchising is on the table. It's kind of what we're looking at, really from a scale standpoint, right? So have clients, real estate agents, expanding. How do I move into this market? When do I know the time is right? So from you guys, an idea born overseas, right? We have 2 corporate stores located throughout Denver. Now we're looking, what's right fit to franchise. What are some models that, people that we can get, to really allow us to get up and running. How did you guys know you were ready to scale? And what had to be true before you can say, okay, we're ready to make that move?
Yeah, I think we always knew that we wanted to scale first off. So from the beginning, we were very diligent in putting in place SOPs, putting together documented training programs, ensuring that the business does not just rely on Damien and I. For the first 3.5, almost 4 years in business, I mean, the stores would not run without us. We were there 24/7, open to close. Everything was, in our heads. We were the ones training everyone. So we had to make sure that the stores could run successfully without us being there every day. So that was the number one thing, is just putting in systems, making sure that you can train people, train managers to operate the stores, and that the stores didn't just rely on Jessica and Damien. So we were able to do that when we launched the second location. We completely hired a brand new team that had never worked with us before. We hired managers, we trained them. And now, we really have nothing to do with the day-to-day operations. We're focused on big picture strategy, product development, expansion. And it's been a long time since we've actually worked a day on the floor of the spa. And so that was one of the biggest things, is making sure that this is scalable and replicable without us, the 2 founders who created everything from scratch, having to be there. So that was one of the biggest things. And then the second was just making sure that it works in multiple markets. Our first one is in downtown Denver. There's a lot of tourists. So the second one we opened in the suburbs. We wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a fluke. Like, Denver is very beer centric and wellness centric, and we're in the downtown. So if it's not going to be successful in the city center of Denver, it won't be successful elsewhere. But just because it is successful there, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will be successful elsewhere.
Yeah.
So we, opened the second location in a suburban market that's like 40 minutes south of downtown Denver, in an area that has no other commercial. We're in a very residential area, not a lot of other businesses around, just making sure that, okay, this works in places other than, downtown Denver. So I think those were the 2 biggest things that we knew, okay, the stores run without us. We've now proven that this works both in the city center as well as in the suburbs. And we have all of the processes and systems and documentation in place in order to be able to scale this. That's how we knew that we were ready.
I just want to back what I heard what I heard is that you started with the end in mind. And like Damien said earlier, we just reverse engineered down to
Mhm.
what it is. So I think a lot of, especially in real estate, a lot of people get into the real estate business almost by default, or they just fall into the business. They don't come into the business with an exit plan and reverse engineer and build from there. What I'm hearing from you guys is that we started with the end in mind and we reverse engineered and we're super intentional with everything that we do. And you guys are true business owners. You're not, you know, you're over the business, you're, working on the business, you're not in the business. And that's
Yeah.
really, what it really means to be business owners and true entrepreneurs, to be able to go to something even bigger. So I was just recapping what I heard, and it sounds like exactly what you guys did.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, two more. So one, this is my favorite. This is the hot seat. And really talking about the bottleneck, right? And we all have bottlenecks always. And it really comes down, theory of constraints. There's always a constraint somewhere in the process. For you guys right now, right? Two corporate stores, one downtown Denver, one out in the burbs, nonstop packed. I mean, you guys, the wait list that you guys have, I mean, it's just like Damon said it. He's like, if you're fortunate enough to get a reservation, right? And so like we have something, there's a demand there, but there's always a bottleneck, right? There's always a constraint. For you guys right now, kind of where you're at, what is the biggest challenge or bottleneck that Oakwell and you guys are facing with the continued growth of the business?
Yeah, we live in the hybrid digital world, brick and mortar world, where you can shop online, you can get your product delivered in an hour or two, or few hours, or on the other from the other side of the planet, and this is made possible with technology. And nowadays, product owners, project managers, CEOs has those crazy ideas, and they can push it live in a matter of just a few days, a few weeks, digitally. But on our end, we're brick and mortar. We were people, we're human. We serve. We this AI extravaganza for us is very interesting, right? We cannot use AI for everything, and most of the thing we want to use AI for is not compatible yet today. So being a brick and mortar has always been you're using the word bottleneck. I think it's a constant challenge for us on finding the right space. Is that the right fit? Okay, now we need to build it. Building it involves a lot of engineering because every single space is different, and we have a lot of different uh, criteria to be able to make this a success, with of course the least amount of money possible invested, right? Because resources are not unlimited. And then if you go a little bit fast forward, on you open the shop, you must train people, you have systems in place, you're managing humans, you're managing people.
Mhm.
They're not robots, so they're not gonna do the same exact thing you're telling them to do. When you sell them yellow, they can tell you, oh, you said green, no, I said yellow. Well, I think blue is better, let's do blue. And this can create some sorts of challenges and frictions over time, and your best practice can get lost when the founders and the creators like us are have done it all, and then we need to pass this, and this can get lost. So the constant challenge of being in a brick and mortar where you have new ideas, you want to launch this new thing. Well, you cannot tear a wall. You cannot tear a wall right away. You cannot, if you launch something brand new in your technology or an offer, you've got about 30 people to teach per store, from the lowest level, right, the hourly employees, to all of the managers, taking in consideration that a reservation system has all of their sets of challenges, and that everyone has a different way of learning how it works. And so when you launch a new technology, a new membership, or new offers, you have this 1, 2, 3 weeks, a month of adaptation. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge. How do we overcome it? You do all those training documents. Most of people do not read user manual. Why? Because a new iPhone, the people today in 2026 knows how to use a smartphone from the get-go. You don't need to have user manual from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 17. Well, it's the same mindset when you hire me to serve your guests, right? Well, I'm serving them to the best of my capability, like I used to do at the Ritz Carlton on the other side of the road. And of course, there is some sorts of nuance to that, but this comes with a set of challenges. So a brick and mortar has a lot of set of challenges that Jessica and I are constantly dealing with, and we're teaching our managers how to constantly, deal with them. Perhaps we know in hospitality that turnover is a thing. Most of the time, this is not the right job for someone. How do we prevent that? How do we create a positive culture? And if, when you launch a store, usually for a year or two, your manager is going to constantly remind you, we're understaffed. No, 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 we're not understaffed. We're finding the right people, and this takes time. Until then, we need to keep pushing, keep interviewing, keep training, keep motivating, keeping them together to nurture that team spirit, and this is key to the success of a store. And I don't believe that your store, you should have a short look at the future. You don't want to be short-minded. You want to be long-term minded. A store takes a year and a half to 2 years to be successful. The success is not necessarily from your top line. Of course, it is important, but it is as well your team. And I think a dream team is built within the first 2 years of your store.
I love that. And it's a, even with the real estate teams that are looking to grow outside of customer acquisition, I'm like, it's talent acquisition. That is like the most important system that you could add into your business, especially if you don't always want to be in the business. If you have, the future to just be working on the business or over the business, you've got to have a talent acquisition, strategy system that, like you said, 2 years really vetted out and just constantly looking for talent. I love that. So what I love about this section, talking about the hot seat, it allows folks tuning into the episode to not just be spectators, right? We've got, operators, builders, problem solvers, and, you just shared exactly where the biggest bottleneck is. So with this section, what we're offering, listening in, drop your feedback, drop your advice, best ideas, and drop them in the comments, because everybody that leaves a comment, we're putting them into an opportunity to win a VIP experience to our kitchen table mastermind that we host, like I said, 2 to 3 times every year. So for those of you guys listening in, this is your opportunity, right? Don't just watch, contribute, add value. Jessica and Damien are adding so much value to this conversation, so much value to you. It's your opportunity to give back. All right. One last question. And I see this all the time in real estate, right? You see a lot of either siblings, most of the time husband and wife teams, and opportunities for them to get in and truly work together. What is the one advice, the one thing about running a business together as a married couple that nobody warned you about, or hey, listen, if you're not willing to think about it this way, operate this way, communicate this way, then don't do it. What is that married couple advice to other couples out there that want to be in business together?
Yeah. Very early on, we decided to pick what our areas of expertise were and to really let each other run with those things, not step on each other's toes. Because if you both try to do the same job all the time, it's just going to be a lot of conflict, because everyone has their own ideas and they want to do it their way. So we need to decide, okay, what is Damien responsible for? Of course, we can collaborate on it. He can get my advice on it. But at the end of the day, Damien has decision-making power when it comes to anything sales related, marketing related, technology related. That is him. For me, I do HR. operations, finance, legal compliance. That is, my area of expertise. So we don't try to collaborate on every single thing. We each have our own projects that we're working on. We come together and talk about it. We ask each other for advice, but it's just kind of know your lane and decide who's going to be responsible for what. And don't try to just do everything together. Work more so in parallel and come together when you need to. And that's been really successful for us. It's just, having our own areas of expertise. And then, the second part of that, and one thing that I think has worked really well for us is, there's likely going to be decisions that involve money, right? And Damien wants to do one thing, I want to do another thing. And so our default rule is if we disagree on something, whoever wants to not spend the money, that's who gets the vote, right? Because there's two of us, because there's no third person that gets to come in and veto the rest. Like sometimes we can be locked on a decision where Damien wants to do one thing and I want to do the other. And if we can't come to an agreement on that, then whichever decision requires the least amount of investment or spends the least amount of money, then that is what we have to go with, rather than just trying to fight each other on, seeing it from the other person's viewpoint all day. We try to come to a decision, but if we can, it's like, all right, well, I want to spend the least amount of money with my solution. And so we're going to go with what I'm doing. So that's been helpful for us.
I love that. Damien, what's your take on it?
I think that you first need to make sure that your house is in order.
Yeah.
That you can travel with your significant other. Sometimes, of course, you don't have that luxury, but maybe go in China or go in a country where no one speaks English, they yell at you, and you're just with your wife or your husband, and you're like trying to figure out your way out. And how do you manage a certain situation during the heat of the moment? Because this is what business is, right? And I think this, if you can live together in a house that is, you can manage both of you, not just 70% on one side, 30% on the other side. It needs to be 50-50, and you can travel well together. You can certainly think that you can manage a business very well together. And then I join you, Jess, on the whole aspect of everyone has a different lane. There's the middle lane where we meet, collaborate, and then we go back to our lane to make sure that everyone stays on top of their departments, right? And keep going. And when we need to carpool together, well, it's a pleasure to carpool together, and we must find we must find it fun and add some fun to it as well. Another thing, over the years, not that you collaborate less, but because you know each other so well, you're feeling like, wow, the other side of the business is so well managed that there's high expectations from me on the other side. So I need to keep it up, so there's that pressure on the other without her telling you, hey, you must do this, right? It's like we know from each other that there is some sorts of pressure, invisible pressure, where there's things that are not being perfect, but her success is based on mine, and my success is based on her. And when we meet together to collaborate, it's even better. But sometimes you don't collaborate enough together, and that's okay, because you are in charge of one side and she's in charge of the other.
Yeah, that's so good. And what I love about it, you framed some things in a way that, like, I haven't heard framed. So like it's really, really good. But I loved what you said right there. You're just pushing each other to be the best versions of yourselves, because you don't want to let each other down. That's such a, like, I love seeing that. And it's not always that way, right? Working with significant others, and so being able to see it, it's really cool.
Front of your clients, front of your customers and your team. Since we're married, right? Two swain on the lake. Swan on the lake, just floating, right? Constantly with that friction. Even if you are like doing this and there, no one sees, right? And it's splashing everywhere. This is the way it should be. Front of the guests, front of the team.
Because there's nothing worse than working with or for people that are in a relationship, whether it's a married couple or it's
Yeah.
two brothers or whatever it may be. Your employees and your guests and your clients should not see any sort of interpersonal friction that may be
No.
going on behind closed doors. We're also not, outwardly affectionate towards each other in front of our guests or in front of our employees, because it's awkward. Nobody wants to see that. So we introduce ourselves as business partners, and we should act as such. We make sure that nothing that's going on at home or in our personal lives interferes with business, and that's something that other people should never see. It needs to remain professional.
Yeah, standards. I love it. Guys, I can't wait to get out to Denver and come visit you guys, and any, you guys listening in, if you're in the Denver area or going to Denver anytime soon, go check out Oakwell Beer Spa. I've got some buddies and some family there. I cannot wait for them to go experience it. And man, thank you guys for jumping in here. I know we've had a couple conversations leading into this, so I can't thank you guys enough for your time, and really excited for what you're building. It is so cool. You've got a concept. I think you've got it anchored on the right things, which is, the human experience and how they feel when they come there. You guys, it just feels, the way we operate, the way we talk, the way we communicate, everything is such at a high level, which I think that's the choice, right? Do you want to have this, Four Seasons Ritz type of experience, or do you want to be the cold, Motel 6 that's not really anything to share or tell anybody else about? And I just think that's a not much time, life cycle to have in your business if you choose that route. So thank you guys again, really, for jumping in. Guys listening, check out Oakwell Beer Spa. Like I said, if you're in the Colorado, Denver area, make a point to get a reservation and go check it out.
Thanks so much, John. It's been great.
You.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.